This episode has been brought to you by My Extraordinary Productions. Don't go at it alone. Let's work on your next film together. Click the link in the description to learn more. This video isn't about me at all, it's about you and figuring out whether you are ethnically ambiguous or not. Anyway, this video is for casting purposes. If you use it for something else, cool, but this is for casting purposes. Let's go over a few definitions before we go over the real topic at hand. Race really refers to your physical characteristics. So, what color is your hair? What is the shape of your nose? What is the pallor of your skin? These things give us hints as to what your race is. Ethnicity, on the other hand, though it can be influenced by race, ethnicity is more of the cultural aspects. What language do you speak at home? What holidays do you celebrate with your family? Do you have certain religious practices that you do every day, every week? Never? That would be more your ethnicity. Finally, we get into nationality, which is the most bureaucratic of the three. Nationality is what stamp is on your passport? Where is your birth certificate from? Okay, let's go into the crux of this video now. What makes a person ethnically ambiguous? An ethnically ambiguous person is someone who either fits very neatly into multiple racial boxes or doesn't fit neatly into any of them. And this could be a person who puts on a polo shirt and looks white and then puts on a tank top and looks like they're Latino. Or this could be a person who doesn't really look Indian, but also doesn't really look black. They look like both, but neither at the same time, and they don't fit in with either group. Both are possible. Most ethnically ambiguous people are a mixture of two or more races, but some ethnically ambiguous people are only one race. However, the particular features they have can be found across multiple races. Now, when we talk about ethnically ambiguous, one term that does pop up is the term white passing. Some people on the internet think white passing means that you are partially white, which often is how you become white passing, except that's not what white passing is. White passing is not being white plus Asian or white plus black. White passing means that whatever your heritage is, you look white. You can go into white spaces. You have white privilege even though you are not 100% Caucasian. Now, some people aren't sure if they are ethnically ambiguous or not. Sometimes you have parents of two different races and you look like one race, but you don't consider yourself that race. Or you do consider yourself that race, you are that race, you just are also some other things that people don't necessarily see. Other times, like I said before, you look like both races put together and you don't fit neatly into either box. You may also actually be one specific race or ethnicity, and you just happen to be living in an area where no one is really familiar with that culture, so you get lumped in with everyone else. There's this one bit from King of the Hill where the Khan family says, "We're from Laos," and Hank Hill says, "So are you Chinese or Japanese?" So how can you know if you are ethnically ambiguous? When you look up your parents' last name, grandparents' last name, great-grandparents, if you can get that far back or even further back, you may notice that one region has a little bit more representation in your family history than some other regions. Or you may notice that there's a pretty even distribution. This information could be useful. Some ethnically ambiguous actors will use their mother's maiden name or their grandmother's maiden name as a pseudonym instead of using their actual last name, because if they happen to be ethnically ambiguous, the more exotic last name may do them more favors in this particular industry. However, you may be in a position where you cannot find the last names. Maybe everyone's from the same place, maybe everyone just lied to you growing up. Maybe you're in a position where everyone in your family is also mixed race and it's really hard to figure out which last name you should go with because everyone's already a mutt. Maybe you just can't go very far back because you're adopted or your family's records were burned in a building, or maybe you just don't want to do that effort in the first place for some reason. The next question you should ask yourself is, do people consistently assume you are the wrong race or the wrong ethnicity? And I'm not saying, are you Belgian but everyone thinks you're French? Or are you Canadian but everyone thinks you're American? Because that's not what this is. What I'm asking is, if you're Filipino, Do people think you're Latinx? Those are different enough geographical regions that you may be ethnically ambiguous. That, or you'll just get someone asking, where are you from? No, actually from, or what are you? Or whatever else they ask. Next, do people assume you speak a second language? If so, what is that other language? This question is kind of odd because sometimes you are 100% Korean and you do speak Korean at home, and sometimes you are 100% Latinx but you don't speak Spanish at home. But if you're in a really weird category where people consistently ask you if you speak Italian at home, but you are not Italian, or they consistently ask you if you speak Mandarin Chinese and you are not Asian at all, then you may be ethnically ambiguous. Does your race or ethnicity change depending on your geographic location that second? Personally, I feel like when you're on the West Coast, you either are white, partially white, or you are not white at all. Whereas on the East Coast, if you happen to be white, they are just a lot better at picking out whether you are Irish or Italian or Greek or Spanish or whatever other kind of white you can be. Even if it's been a few generations and you think you're Americanized, they do a much better job than we do on the West Coast at picking that stuff out. But as a result of doing that, I do feel like they're a little more likely to get it wrong. By being more specific, they are more wrong. On a similar note, does your race or ethnicity change depending on how you do your hair, how you do your makeup, the clothes you happen to be wearing? And once again, I'm not talking about putting on cultural dress. I'm talking about the difference between wearing a polo shirt and a tank top. Does your race change when you are wearing blue versus wearing green? I knew one hair and makeup artist. She was half Asian and half white, and she said she would sometimes do her makeup a certain way to get the white roles and do her makeup a different way to get the Asian roles. Alright, if you answered yes to any of these questions, if you've had any of these experiences, there's a chance you are ethnically ambiguous. One weird thing about being ethnically ambiguous is that you don't decide that you're ethnically ambiguous. Other people make that decision for you, and sometimes they make it differently every time they meet you. Yeah, people are weird. Anyway, hopefully this helped one or two of you out. Please leave your questions and comments below, hit the like and subscribe buttons, follow me on social media, and I will see you all next time.